Chapter 28, A Sparkle in the Darkness, Part 2.
Twilight, what in Equestria do y'all think you're doing?
Applejack protested.
If he doesn't stop, then he's going to lose me anyway,
Twilight said with finality.
It's his choice.
No!
Spike shouted in alarm. At once, they all moved to stop her. And, expecting this, Twilight flared her wings out as an extra layer of magic was added to her horn. All at once, as her eyes lit up with a bright light from the amount of energy she was exuding, her friends were all frozen in place with a levitation spell. They couldn't speak, but their eyes continued to plead and protest.
I'm sorry, but there's no other way to keep my promise.
This is insane,
Sombra spluttered.
Yeah, it really is.
Sombra shook his head in disbelief and desperation.
No, this is but a trick. I know you have no wish to sow your own demise. This is but a falsehood.
Sombra. Grandfather, I think we both know you're better at knowing bluffs when you see one.
Do you truly expect me to believe you would throw away such a prosperous existence and future simply to stop your own legacy?
I know you're going this far to try and protect me. Our family. Everything left that you love.
Twilight responded, giving him a peaceful smile despite it all.
But I take after you a little too well, I think. So you should know how far I'll go to protect those I love.
And for that, Sombra had no retort.
You are a cruel pony, granddaughter.
Well, I did learn from the best.
And then it was over. All at once, the Draugr stopped in their tracks for mere seconds before they dropped lifelessly to the ground, the magic within extinguished. The dark crystals around the city shattered one by one, the bright coloration to all parts of the city touched by his corruption returning in all its glory. A silence spread over the Crystal Empire, one that was both relieving and ominous in equal measures. But it was done. Twilight let out a heavily relieved sigh as she let go of her friends, dropping them back to the ground.
Oh, good. Because I was really worried
Something hit the back of her head. Hard.
Ouch!
Twilight bellowed, rubbing the back of her head where an orange hoof had smacked it.
Never do that again.
Applejack scolded her angrily.
Ever!
Okay, I'm sorry.
Twilight quickly apologized.
But it was the only way.
Gosh, cube.
And you guys say I'm the reckless one,
Rainbow commented.
Shush, Rainbow Dash,
Rarity said.
What, you do? So, does this mean we can go back to being cute and stuff?
Pinkie Pie asked.
'Cause this got dark real fast. Yes, please.
Fluttershy meekly agreed.
I can't believe I've lost to these ponies,
Sombra lamented.
Twice.
Oh yeah. What do we do with him?
Rainbow Dash asked.
Twilight?
Spike called out carefully as the Lavender Mare regarded the former king of the Crystal Empire. She gave Sombra a level look, one he returned without hesitation. She took a cautious step towards him, almost like she was testing the waters around the Dark Mage.
So,
she started.
Is it done? For good?
For as long as your threat is in play, it would seem I have little choice, he said with disdain. Your dedication is admirable, but disappointing to who it belongs.
I hope someday soon I can make you understand friendship for what it really is.
Sombra was silent, averting his gaze with disgust. Twilight gave him a sad look before her gaze then moved further inwards towards the palace.
But for now, there's one more thing we have to do.
The crystal heart rotated gently, back in its proper place beneath the palace. The magic had been restored. Snow had long since stopped seeping into the city, as the frozen north was once again held back by the protective barrier around the entirety of the Crystal Empire. King Sombra was visibly uncomfortable being near the magical artifact, though he suffered through it in silence during the aftermath of the battle against the undead. In the hours since, ponies had started to return to their homes while others got to work clearing up the mess and collecting those who had not been so fortunate. Many ponies had lost their lives, and there was already talks of a memorial for those who fell against Shadowflare's greatest error. Shining Armor and Cadence had continued to direct things while awaiting the arrival of Celestia and Luna, who immediately put their guards to work assisting their crystal counterparts in restoring the peace. It was another black mark on the history of the Crystal Empire, a city whose people had suffered more than enough. Now, though, hopefully, they could finally continue on in the modern world and leave it all behind them. After the arrival of the other princesses of Equestria, they had sought out the element bearers by the Crystal Heart and prepared to listen to their explanations alongside Cadence and Shining Armor. Sombra listened in, meanwhile, surrounded by more than a few guards with spears pointed at his throat. And Twilight told them everything. What a sweet relief it was to just vent all that had occurred to them ever since Sombra had latched onto her subconscious. Her eyes, in particular, remained on Celestia the entire time. The princess's gaze had remained neutral, and Twilight only became more nervous due to that face. Particularly when the recount came to Midnight Sparkle.
And... yeah, that's the gist of it.
Twilight finished sheepishly.
I know I messed up, but she totally came through in the end.
Rainbow loyally defended her friend.
Like we knew she would.
Yeah, Spike agreed. She saved us.
Even if that final gambit was quite foolhardy,
Luna noted with her eyebrow cocked in disapproval.
Your death would have flung him into a rage like no other, Twilight Sparkle. Yeah,
she replied regretfully.
But I knew the threat of it would be enough, so long as it wasn't a bluff. So, if you knew that, then you also knew you would be fine.
Pinky pondered.
So does that make it a bluff or not? A double bluff? A triple-backed fudge bluff? Yum! Whatever the case, I must admit to being surprised at his surrender.
Luna continued with a spiteful glance at Sombra.
To think he was here the whole time. I have half a mind to propel the villain into a grave of his own. But that may no longer be necessary,
Celestia noted, giving Twilight an even look.
So long as we can adequately decide on what to do next.
I can't believe we're actually related to that monster, Shining Armor said in disbelief. It's just... what?
Shiny, it changes nothing.
Cadence cooed her husband.
It's quite far down the line, and you're nothing like him.
Brains for one,
Sombra muttered from the corner, ignoring Shining Armor's death glare.
We also still need to tell our mother,
Twilight sheepishly noted. Shining went deadpan. Great! I can't wait. So, what now? Spike asked. What are you going to do to him?
And me,
Twilight said ashamedly. Celestia gave her a curious look.
You? I betrayed Equestria,
she whispered.
I became Midnight, tried to enslave the Crystal Empire. I thought I was right that I was protecting them, but... It was a mere moment of madness,
Luna stated.
What? Your turn was for but a moment, driven by a desperate situation. You came to your senses all on your own thanks to the very special bond you share with this group,
Luna pointed out.
You chose to be better. I am envious for how quick it was for you.
Twilight gave Luna a grateful smile, but then her nervousness returned as she looked towards the Princess of the Sun. Celestia sighed.
I must admit, midnight troubles me. I can't quite picture it, you in such a state of existence. Princess. But we are not fit to call judgment on momentary brushes with the dark side,
Celestia claimed.
Not with your victory over it, as Luna has said. Wait, have you had such an experience, Aunt Celestia?
Cadence asked curiously. She nodded.
The days after I lost Luna were the worst of my life. Ones that almost provoked the flames of Daybreaker. A version of myself who had lost all, and thus no longer wished anything more than an inferno. But I found something to care about. Creating an Equestria that Luna could come back to and find acceptance in. Sister,
Luna said with a loving smile, nuzzling her gently.
But as we are now, we are all in a firm state of mind and wiser for our mistakes,
Celestia continued.
Sombra, however, I do not believe he is quite as ready to accept his past actions as mistakes. It seems redemption does not come easily to him. Tartarus might be the answer then,
Luna said with her eyes narrowed at the mentioned unicorn.
Wait!
Twilight protested.
We managed to turn your life around, Luna, and Discord's too. Both of whom have long since sincerely been rehabilitated,
Celestia noted.
Sombra has not. And without that sincerity, we cannot rightfully absolve him of anything. And I doubt any other prison aside Tartarus would hold him. Discord changed because he found something to care about,
Twilight pointed out with a glance at Fluttershy, whose cheeks flushed up red.
Sombra cares about me. And only me. In Tartarus, nothing will change no matter how long his sentence. But with me, I can change him. With more time, now that he's surrendered himself, I know I can.
Celestia and Luna glanced at one another.
If he steps out of line,
Luna began.
Then I'll send him to Tartarus myself,
Twilight promised.
I won't let him hurt any pony, not again.
You're sure you want to be near that guy for even longer? Shining asked with worry.
He's hurled every argument he has at me,
Twilight responded.
After today, I don't plan on being swayed by his twisted perspective.
Time shall tell,
Sombra mused. Despite the unicorn's outburst, Celestia nodded.
Very well. I shall leave it to your prerogative as a princess of Equestria. Though as both a peer and a friend, I would advise not letting him wander by himself for the time being. Noted,
Twilight replied.
Then let that be that,
Celestia declared.
The Crystal Empire and its ponies have a long road to recovery ahead of them. Let us put the darkness of Sombra and Shadowflare behind us. I think it is high time that their tomes are destroyed.
Sombra flinched, but the former king otherwise said nothing.
Yes, and one final thing,
Princess Cadence said, giving Sombra a rather smug look.
From this moment forth, you are hereby banished from the Crystal Empire. If you ever come back, even for a second, I'll activate the Crystal Heart.
Seconded, Shining Armor agreed.
Then it is decided,
Celestia stated.
You should head back to Ponyville with your friends, Twilight. Once all of this is past, I'll speak with you.
Twilight nodded.
Okay. You know where to find us. Indeed. Go now, Twilight. And good luck.
And with that, the tragedy of the Crystal Empire came to a close. Shadowflare's plague had been eradicated, and Twilight Sparkle returned to her home with a reluctant Sombra in tow. Already renewed plans for his redemption were coming to mind. All kinds of classes, tests, and checklists running through her brain at 1,000,000 miles per hour. But he, trapped in his solitude and stuck musing upon what had transpired, still had no desire for such redemption. All he had worked towards had been snuffed out in an instant by those friends of hers. And that dragon, he should have soured their special relationship back when he first realized it. But there was nothing to be done about it now. Not without hurting Twilight. So now there was only one course of action left open to him. This was just the way it had to be.